The following episode of the Carnival of Randomness is sponsored by an important message to you, the people, from Upsitnik and Associates. Every day there are forces that are taking from you, stealing from you. Your money, your time, your freedom. Immense faceless corporations, banks, credit card companies, insurance providers, government agencies, this list goes on and on. When you are under attack and facing crisis, turn to us, Upsitnik and Associates, attorneys for you, the people. When every day becomes a battle, we can advise and assist. We have been advocates for 40 years. Email us through upsitnikslaw.com or call us at 1-866-391-3299 or reach out to us through Upsitnik and Associates on Facebook for a prompt, no obligation communication and consultation. Don't be pushed around. Hello, everybody. It's the time of the season when everybody's sick and dying. But we're going to music our way through this because we're going to talk some music today. I'm Zach. Rob's here.
Yes.
David's here.
Hey.
He braved the bubonic plague that seems to be spreading around Rochester.
Yes. And we're glad all of you didn't show up. If you were sick, feel better.
Right.
Well,
to all those sick.
I'm wearing a full, hazmat bodysuit with a respirator, so
perfect.
I feel comfortable.
Then we're set.
But I'll ask something because it's the season. Who knows if this will be out for the season? But being a musician, what's your view on Christmas music? Sucks like
what?
Christmas music. Do you like it or not?
Well,
Just as
I
a
think
musician.
I think it's like anything. There's some great Christmas music and there's some really shitty Christmas music. So, just like anything, it's there's good, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I mean, some people have, like, I know my friend Greg Preview, and his band actually did a Christmas song, Hey Santa Claus. He hates it. Other people, that's one of my guilty pleasures where every year I get a Christmas album. I got the old 97s last year.
Oh, yeah. Have you any thoughts on what you're
Nothing this year,
Nothing
actually.
This year yet? Or what? Well, by this time.
I gave Aaron, actually, the Rob Halford one.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think the problem is because Christmas seems to start earlier and earlier every year. True. When I go to the mall in September and I'm hearing Christmas music, there's an issue.
So when you say Christmas music, what are you really talking about? Are you talking about the traditional
anything you want
classics, or are you talking about anything?
You got to remember, Christmas as we know it's basically manufactured thing by Condé Nast and Macy's and everything with Santa Claus, all these things, Coke.
Sure.
Where all these images we see, everybody thinks this goes back. No, it goes back to the greeting cards, the courier knives. The Santa there was not like St. Nicholas.
Washington Irving, you bastard.
Yeah, because actually, I don't know if you know, Washington Irving, he pretty much, there's a book called The Man Who Invented Christmas, and he decided we needed a national holiday in America, so that's when they started popularizing Christmas.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
But I guess, what would your favorite Christmas song be then, if it can be anything?
Grandma got run over by a
Spinal
reindeer.
Tap Christmas with the Devil.
Father Christmas by the Kinks.
Oh, yes. What other song
Christmas
goes on about beating up Santa Claus?
Yeah, and all you rich kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Father,
it's the greatest Christmas song ever rocked out.
It is.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
And I always, you watch the old, I think it's the old Great Whistle Test where Ray gets hit with a pie on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to speak on that too because we lost somebody this week from the Flaming Groovies, the drummer.
Roy Lonnie.
Yeah.
No, the singer.
Singer. See, I know I saw Mike post.
Singer, songwriter. I mean, the first one. Chris Wilson came in later, and he was great too. But Roy Lonnie, and only like 73.
And also the passing of the girl from Roxette.
Oh.
What? I like that. I like Roxette.
I didn't know that even.
Yeah, I think she was 61 or something.
Yeah.
But to show the diversity of us for music, I actually saw Emmett Otter's jug band Christmas the other week. So they played it at Love and Cup.
Emmett Otter.
And they did Sesame Street songs and everything.
Why not?
But I was actually thinking back to like the 70s rock and roll a lot because I just actually read a book about it. And you forget, hedonism was not invented in the 70s, but I think it came to fruition in the 70s. So I remember, actually, if you go back, I don't know if you've ever seen this, David, there's actually a shot of the Beatles in Germany after they played in the Reeperbahn. And there's John with a toilet seat around his neck, and they're all passed out.
Yeah, I think I've seen pictures from those.
And I think
days.
they all got treated for VD or something.
I'm sure they all caught VD at least once in Hamburg, but But yeah, that was like a silliness, and I think in the 70s, to your point, that the hedonism certainly, reached its zenith, and that, I mean, in a lot of different worlds too. You had that Club, the Studio 54 disco world, and then you had Alice Cooper and
Led Zeppelin, I think, might have.
The Lost Weekend and everything else that happened. Because no one knew that cocaine was bad for you, right?
Well, that was the big...
It comes from nature. How could it be bad? It's like gluten.
And it was the golden age of the groupie, which I found out.
Yeah.
They were all around. But you heard these stories. There was one of them, Peter Grant hired this guy, Joe Bindon, who was like a real-life thug. You could see him in some old British movies like Get Carter. But rumor is he actually killed some gangster in Britain. But he ended up getting into some trouble there and some of the good old violence. But one of the things I guess he was known for in pubs is he would balance 6 half-pint bottles on his Johnson.
Jesus.
But I'm hearing all these outrageous stories from the 70s, and one of my views on that is, how do these people stay alive?
Right, like Alice Cooper. How did he live?
Incredible consumption.
I mean, he even admitted it when he was on the good version of Top Gear.
Well, look at Lemmy, man.
Yeah.
He a quart a day, cutting down on drinking, less drink.
Yeah.
I read an interview with him when we lived on the houseboat, and this is when he's living on the houseboat. And I guess in the morning, what he did for the interview, he took a pitcher, poured a bunch of orange, then poured a whole bottle of vodka in it for breakfast.
Yeah, because he thought that if he quit drinking, vodka was okay.
Oh,
Because it's clear.
Yeah, it's
And
less.
don't forget, what isn't vodka the Russian word for water?
yeah.
Or similar to that? So,
But I guess you could find him. He used to like to play the games at the Rainbow Room, and if you walked in there any given day, Becky had an apartment out there, you could see Lemmy just playing like those
pinball games.
Yeah, the pinball games and stuff.
Yeah,
Could you imagine that?
yeah.
that would be something.
Waiting for the next groupie.
Yeah.
Come by, right? You ever read Pamela DeBar's book?
Oh,
It's Okay, I'm with the Band.
Yes.
Yeah. Good stuff.
But amazing, like the plaster casters, which if you've never heard of them, they would make plaster cast of rock stars' dicks.
Oh, okay.
And I guess they got mad at Kiss because they did a song called Plaster Caster, and they never invited them to make, they never asked them to do that.
What the hell was wrong with people
Pamela
in the
DeBar,
70s?
she was Miss Pamela with the GTOs. I know she was with Jimmy Page for a while.
Yep.
And then...
I don't remember if that was before or after Sable Star or one of the other ones. But, today it's a lot different, right? I mean...
But yeah, but
That's a
one of
word
the things
for
I've
it.
been thinking is 70s, and the reason I thought this, my friend Aaron was talking about photography and about the era she'd like to be in, and that would have been that era. And I was thinking, the one thing about 70s, one of the songs that gets me is, I think, very daring, still and creeps me out, is Muskrat Love. Because think of the lyrics. Did you sing that? I mean, that's gross. It's so gross. I can't. You got to have some guts to sing these lyrics.
Refresh my memory. What's one of the worst lines?
It's just it's these two, Muskrat Sally, Muskrat Sam, and Muskrat Land, and they're hugging, Because there was the era of all that crap rock.
Yeah, that's a good genre for it. Crap rock.
Yacht rock.
Think so? That's a good one.
Yacht rock. Yeah, it's a thing. Look it up.
Huh.
I didn't know that. I just look at all that stuff like the Partridge Family, all those novelty songs like Night Chicago Dies.
Night Chicago Dies.
All those. But then again, see, there's always a reaction because then you got punk.
Did.
We should actually start when we get a bunch of friends and do a night of schlock rock of all these cheesy 70s songs.
Oh my
Billy,
God.
don't be a hero.
Oh. Wildfire about the dumbest tourist ever.
You could definitely do some. We could put out the Carnival schlockthology.
Seasons in the Sun.
Oh, Terry Jack.
Terry
yeah.
Jack. Yeah.
I hear that song a lot around here.
Brandy, you're a fine girl.
Yes. All these quality songs
Oh,
that
my
were
God.
influenced us.
I think my head cold just came back from that one.
Brandy, you're actually. I got to tell you, that's a guilty pleasure. I actually like that song.
And some of those songs are so bad, but when you hear them, they remind you when you were a kid.
They remind you of a simpler time. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say a better time, but a simpler
I
time.
rode my bicycle.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember that one?
Yeah.
oh, what about the one with the key to the roller skates?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a brand new pair of
I've got a
roller
brand new
skates.
key.
You got a brand new key.
Yeah, it's like,
You gonna fit that key in my lock?
yeah, that wasn't a metaphor for anything at all.
Oh, no.
No.
It's like, one of the dirtiest songs ever to me. Still, Buck Owens, Who's Gonna Mow Your Front Lawn?
Nice.
Oh boy.
Well, you had to get away with it for that. Because rock and roll is actually a term for screwing anyways, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, you rock and then you roll out.
You're rocking
It's
and
like-
rolling all night long. That's absolutely.
It's
what,
like your jelly roll.
You know it. You know it.
Like those guys. But you had to be
Rockin'
sort
and
of
rollin'.
like, because of the good old. It's amazing in those days, too. They thought Elvis's hips were going to turn everybody into Satanists or whatever.
And they did.
Yeah,
Right?
clearly. Yeah, I mean,
It's like something else, but Eddie Cochran. Some of the words there are really great euphemisms as well. Here I am knocking on her front door. I never thought I'd be doing this before. Hey,
So I don't know how Day Tripper got by the censors.
it's amazing the shit that they were able to get by.
I always liked the dichotomy of the Beatles and Stones because the Stones were pretty posh. They're from London. Mick went to the London School of Economics. Then the Beatles grew up in Liverpool.
hard place.
But
Those guys were tough guys.
And I think John had graded on him about how, we're the cutesy band.
Yeah, right. Yeah, their images were
But
completely opposite of what they really were.
But they just wanted to hold your hand.
They wanted to take your money. That's what.
I'm not saying any more than that because I'm not paying her money. But
Well, all we need is cash, the Ruddles.
Yeah, I love the Ruddles.
I love the Ruddles, too.
Goose Step Mama. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Was it Cheese and Onions? The one
Do I
song?
have to spell it out? CHEESCA. Yeah. All right.
that one I never heard.
I actually
Oh yeah, cheese and onions. Look it up.
One of the
Look it
biggest
up.
privileges I had is I saw Neil Innes play here. He did a show here, and I saw him and talked to him afterwards and talked to him about the Ruddles and
Yeah.
everything.
Where was that?
It was actually back in the day. Tom had shows at the Bop Shop Atrium when it was in Village Gate.
Right.
And he
Okay.
came down. He
When
played,
was this?
This was years ago, and he might have come back because obviously the Bop Shop's been gone from there for years. Village Gate's all different.
But when I first moved here, it was there, and I wonder if it was. I'm just totally was oblivious, or
He sung the Brave Sir Robin theme. The only thing is I made the big mistake. I guess he had a falling out with Eric Idle because I had him sign the I brought him like a CD. I brought him a Bonds Doodah Dog Band CD to sign.
Nice.
And I had that, and then I had him sign Monty Python The Holy Grail. And I was talking about Spam a lot, and he got sort of, I don't have anything to do with it. I'm like, I think I stepped on somebody's...
ouch. That means I'm not getting any money from that. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I felt like, but he was really funny. He did this one song, "Where Are All the Flowers Gone?" Where he went, "Where have all the money gone? The bankers took it, all of it."
Nice.
But because the Bonzo Doodah Dog Band was really Vic Stanfield, who should be in like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I think.
Yeah. Sure.
But these guys, because I think doing satire.
More rock and roll than Taylor Swift or whatever else. The fuck is
Hey,
in
her
there,
birthday's the same day as mine, so leave her alone. I don't like her, but it's like false. But I think there's an art to that. If you could do with songs like those, and the thing is, you look at it there, it's like Victor Borg in a way, where you're funny, but the music's actually good.
Right.
Hey, look at Tom Lehrer.
And then,
Right? I love Tom Lehrer.
Yeah.
All those songs are really clever, well crafted, catchy, and funny.
Well, that's the
you
thing.
try it.
That's a lot harder than people want to think. I mean, to purposely make it funny and not have it be unintentionally funny because it's so terrible.
Right.
You know?
Because satire, I think, is really, really hard to do well.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Bonzo Doodah Dog Band's great.
And I think, honestly, I think, satire and parodies are kind of becoming a lost art.
Oh, Weird Al Yankovic.
Well, Weird Al's still hanging in there. He's the last bastion of it. And I'm sorry, but if whoever doesn't think he's one of the most talented musicians and songwriters out there, I think you're wrong.
Well, he's achieved longevity, and that's a hard thing to
The
do.
guy's
in the music business.
the guy's got skills. Plus, he's a hell of a performer.
But even jumping off, we've been sort of, we have a quasi theme of the 70s. One of the big things I used to get, too, is that's when I would get comedy albums.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And I do remember, because I was a big Sanford & Son fan, I got a Red Fox album, and I realized Red Fox is a little different.
Than you see on the TV.
Yeah, did your mom and dad hear that record?
I got it. The thing was, my mom was a huge Sanford & Son fan, so she let me buy it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we played it.
Said he could heal, not raise the dead.
But because the other guy who's really, really dirty is Buddy Hackett.
Oh, God. He did this. What was his thing about the dentist chair or something? But he was a hell of a lot dirtier than you perceived him.
Cool. I don't know.
It's kind of like Bob Saget, to jump up a decade. But
For the Aristocrats.
yeah, oh, jeez, he was a filthy comedian, but he was the dad in Full House.
Right.
You ever suck dick for weed? I suck dick for coke. What? But actually, the comedy albums, somewhere, I think it was in a garage, we found an 8-track player with a bunch of 8 tracks. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to dig through. And there was a Richard Pryor 8-track.
Cool.
And I listened to it. It's like, damn. May not have been a great person, but damn, was he funny.
You had the George Carlin records, right? I had all.
I actually bought a couple years ago at Record Archive. I got a copy of Toledo Window Box on vinyl.
What was the line? The hippy dippy
Al Snow, the
weatherman.
hippy dippy weatherman. Here with all your hippy
The weather
dippy
outside.
Dark.
Continuing
Darkness through the night, moving to partly light in the morning.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Al Sleet, the hippy dippy weatherman.
Yeah.
I actually I bought myself because I didn't think anybody would get it for me. Time Life, they do those big box sets. They did the complete George Carlin. And it was like 12 of his HBO specials on DVD, remastered on DVD, plus like bonus discs. And I went for the Uber package and got the best of Johnny Carson with it.
Nice.
Thing was, I saw Carlin
Carnival.
play here, and this was near the end, almost before he passed away, and he had to postpone the show once because he had to get stents. Yeah. And when I saw him, he was not as he was a bitter.
Yeah, that's when me and my mom saw him in Las Vegas. It was maybe a year or so before he died.
I mean, he went on the one rant about
the bitter tour.
I bet if we had a reality show where you kill yourself, people would do it.
Yeah, just promise him a small appliance.
I'm going to jump out of a building onto an electrified bed. Everybody's going to watch.
Yeah.
Scary, like with reality shows, what people will do for stupid.
Fucking true. It's absolutely true. He's still everything that he said was true.
But his old stuff, I even listening, going way back to when it was Burns and Carlin, when it was him and Jack Burns. Man, it was funny, but it was different funny.
Yeah.
Because it was they did the 2-man act, the straight man and Carlin playing the comedy.
But I thought of that actually. Steve and I were talking about this. And hope he feels better.
Yes.
But we were talking about doing a 1970s reality show in that vein where you get to live like Keith Richards for a month.
You die.
And whoever lives wins.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever survives wins.
They used to have the Keith Richards Death Watch, like in Rolling Stone.
Nobody knows how that man is still alive, but he's going to outlive us all.
Maybe.
He fell out of a tree because he was drunk. That's all. That's true. Wasn't he in like Hawaii or something?
He fell out. He hit his head.
Yeah, he fell out of a coconut tree because he climbed up there when he was drunk.
But that's a question to ask though, for in terms of music. Like, what was the first album we've talked album before that when you picked it up, it really hit you? Was like, I want to play music. I really am into this.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess there were a few albums all at the same time. Really, the Ramones' first record and the Clash's "Safe European Home," and probably the Elvis Costello's first like This Year's Model. I don't remember which one I heard first. It was all happened at the same time for me.
Maybe you'll know this one because I know I have it at home somewhere. I have an EP of the Ramones. I know it has Something to Do on it, and there's a couple other songs. I know I have that one because the first song I ever heard from them was Something to Do. And how can you go wrong with hanging out if they have to eating chicken vindaloo? Now that's a beautiful lyric.
Yeah. It was great. Real genius. And you think like if something like the Ramones came along today, they'd be considered like maybe lightweight because You know, they aren't like, you know, there's so much, it's gone so heavy.
Well,
right?
because
Story I've heard, one of the stories I heard, I did not see the show, but I guess Billy Idol played here, and that'd be back in the 80s. And he had the Ramones opening, and I guess they got booed off stage. And I guess Billy came out, he chastised the audience and said what a great band they were.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Well,
Rochester, good music tastes.
yeah, tough town. It's a tough town.
That's why Bowie never came back.
Amongst
that's
other
why?
reasons. Well, there were other reasons.
Everybody, for people that aren't from Rochester that are listening to this, that famous mugshot of David Bowie, it was. You look at the placard, Rochester, New York, and he swore he would never come back, and never did. Never set foot in the
There's
city
a
again.
story. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But I mean, I don't know if you know Kim Draheim, my friend of Memphis Radiation Orchestra. He tells the story that night that he and a friend ran into Bowie before this happened by the hotel.
What the hell did he get picked up for anyway?
The weed was
Yeah,
it?
Was
it
it?
was weed,
I
yeah.
actually
Iggy
don't
Pop
know.
too. Iggy Pop got busted too.
Yeah.
But Kim says, I guess his friend asked Bowie about Jim Morrison because that was his favorite singer, and Bowie said he didn't like him.
That's funny.
Well,
What I read was that he was, you know, the Rochester Police Department went out to get him, set up a CI, and
yeah, and that's,
was into, you know, really tried their best to get him and got him.
yeah,
Well,
and that's why
I
he
still,
never
I think
came
if you
back.
go down to the RPD now and everything, I think there's a picture of that bus there.
Yeah, I've heard that. But that is like the one of the most famous mugshots, right up there with Elvis's, you know, or
Sure.
of the mugshots people think of, in the Bowie one with Rochester,
And
New York.
the
right
funny
there.
part, this is a question actually I'll bring up because I was out with my friend overhand, Stan Snyder, on Friday. We were talking shop about music, and he said, he looked at me and he goes, "Whatever happened? Nobody sneaks into concerts anymore."
Yeah.
And we were talking about, like, in the day about some of our...
Well, people must sneak into concerts, you know. Just because, you know, I don't sneak into concerts anymore. The kids still must do it, right? You'd think.
I don't know. Maybe with the advent of more technology and more cameras, it's easier to spot them.
Because you think about, like, in the day when you were really just psyched about seeing some band, and it would be like the quest to get the ticket.
Yeah, and if
I'd
you
have to
couldn't
do
get the
extra
ticket, you were going to see him anyway. God damn it!
Yeah. Well, maybe it was looser back then, you know? There were lots
I
of doors.
think what it was is people just didn't care as much.
Well, this will bring it up. I used to go to every show at the War Memorial. Every show. Remember those days how much tickets cost.
Yeah.
You know, it's like cheap. So I would go to everything. But literally, when the house lights would go up between the opening band and the headliner, it would be like the nuclear cloud of pot. And I remember a couple times getting like secondhand highs there.
Contact high.
I remember like one time it was an Aerosmith concert. These two dudes are in front of me snorting coke, and they look up at me because I'm just staring at them. I can't help it, and they just go. Yeah, today I get hit by my friend got up on a seat for a concert. He goes flying down the aisle because somebody ripped the phone out of the wall and threw it.
Phones attached to the walls.
Yeah,
that was actually a thing back in.
But the
back
way,
in the old days.
but then what happened? I remember before the end of we were going in. They started strip searching people. You used to see all the potheads fleeing.
Yeah.
Because before nobody cared.
Yeah, and then it just got, and then people started getting really uptight. In the 90s, I think.
I do
It's
remember
really-
Ray almost started to,
80s.
yeah. I remember Ray almost started a riot, though, at the one show at the War Memorial, because it was during State of Confusion. And what he did, you'd seen the act before, where he would go on about playing Lowell, and he'd just go, "No, you're not ready."
Yeah.
But he really drug it out this time. But I'm not ready. He just kept going on about it.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's not many people who can just like manipulate a crowd of several thousand people who like that, man. He's got it in the palm of his hand.
Yeah, and I mean, what was the one? Did he throw a beer bottle at Davison and bounced off, hit the bases in the head, and knocked him out? It was like a show at Long Island.
Oh, Lord.
A lot of fights.
Because I never saw anything like that. I saw like guys who were drunk falling off the stage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like a given. But I don't know, man. It was...
What's the drunkest band you ever saw?
Oh, I got
Mine?
this. Oh, I've got. Go on.
Replacements. Saw the Replacements probably like 80, maybe 6, 7, something like that. And this place in Boston called Jumpin' Jack Flash, they had these pipes that would go in across the ceiling, but not so high that people couldn't get up there with some effort. And I just remember the place exploding and people swinging from the fucking pipes on the ceiling, and the band just absolutely drunk out of their fucking mind. They'd start a song, crack themselves up halfway through it and stop, and then start another one they'd probably never played before. It was amazing.
The one for me, and I've told this story before, is one of my friends was really big into Southern rock, so we used to have the festival tent downtown, and Black Oak, Arkansas was playing. So I'll say, I'll go with you. Jim Dandy, who, if you don't know who Jim Dandy is, he's basically the guy David Lee Roth stole his looks from and everything. The whole act. And he looked, for you, Zach, he looked like what you would imagine a pro wrestler to look like in the 70s. And they would sing songs like Jim Dandy to the Rescue and other ones. But Jim Dandy comes out, he's pasted. I mean, he's literally so gone. All he does, he comes out, it's like slurring stuff, starts swearing at the crowd, and then I think they tried to sing Black Betty, and then he fell off the stage.
Well,
and my view was,
good night.
I don't care. That was my money's worth.
That's the thing. That is the true definition of worth the price of admission.
But
right there,
sort of the term, like you use it. Have you seen shows that have just been utterly where the act or anything, something was just crazy for some reason? I mean, sort of like the one you described there with the...
Down the road from where my mom still lives in Pittsburgh, there's this park, and they used to have, I don't know if they still do it, they would have the free concert series in the summertime. And I was like, free concerts, how good could it be? The one time, Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers were supposed to come. And I was there, showtime comes, no band. Half hour comes, no band. Hour comes, no band. Then all of a sudden, this RV that looked like a giant hot box on wheels shows up. And then they started telling this story about how the state troopers busted or raided their RV and they had like 80 pounds of weed. It's like, and I had to go because I had something else to do. I didn't even get to see him play. But
reggae band doing weed?
I know, right? Isn't that weird?
Huh?
I actually, at that concert series, I saw Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh.
He busted out the 12-string guitar to play the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and it was actually kind of awesome.
I had the one where a bunch of my friends and I were going to go see Ryan Adams. And I warned them. I said, okay, this guy's a bit of a case. I'm warning you. We might see a good show. We might not.
You don't know with him until you get there.
So I saw him in Cleveland like about 5 years ago. He was fine, except he massively ripped hecklers and he wouldn't let him go. But this show
was it the summer of '69 thing?
No, this was just somebody yelled. One person yelled Freebird, and his comment was, that might have made more sense in the 80s when someone was still alive. And then he went on this dissertation about how does this person work in the morning? You get up, I'm going to ruin the night for everybody. He wouldn't stop. So anyways, the time I saw him with my friends, he comes out, he plays 3 songs, stops dead, says, I haven't taken my med for a week, and he walks off stage.
Wow.
Okay.
But that was a question I was going to ask you. What are your thoughts of like ska and reggae and such? Fan?
Me, ska and reggae? Yeah, I love it. Sure. I mean, it's not a big fan, but I like the English beat back in the day and
Specials.
I guess the specials. I mean, I know
The
some
thing
of the
I
big stuff,
found, and again, I was talking to Sam about this, was that a lot of people who are really into ska and reggae, if they're in it, they are in it. Yeah. They have like a passion for it. Like my friend Justin, he'll even say, I can't really be good friends with somebody if they don't like the music.
Wow. Yeah.
I went through a ska phase back in the day.
Well, for my big thing what turned me on to was the Harder They Come soundtrack. Jimmy Cliff.
Jimmy Cliff's amazing. I love.
Then
Jimmy
I got
Cliff.
Bob Marley's box set.
I guess I'm like more into like artists than types of music, right?
So more artists than genre.
Yeah. So I mean, I love Jimmy Cliff. I love the really great ones. If they happen to play reggae, whatever.
Yeah.
My cousin had this album. I think it was like the Best of Ska, one of those compilation things, and they did a ska version of the Inspector Gadget theme song. I was like, all right. And then the last one was a band, Mephistopheles. and they did the Bumblebee Tuna song, which was just fan-goddamn-tastic. And we saw them at a club in Pittsburgh, Memphis, and they played Bumblebee Tuna for us because my cousin asked them to. It was fucking amazing. And that was the one when my dad actually had shown up and a bird shit on him right in front of us.
Well, I remember the
right
quote,
on his pink shirt.
Keith Richards' quote about Jamaican artists. He was in Jamaica and he said, "I can't believe these guys. As soon as they wake up, they smoke a joint. I wait at least 10 minutes.
I have to go to the bathroom first before I do that."
And also, I was thinking of the 70s. I think it was really the age where the stereotypical crazy drummer came into effect. Where a lot of them came out of the 60s, but really the 70s is when you heard about them.
Keith Moon.
Yeah,
I think he was probably one of the first insane ones.
I think that you could trace that kind of crazy drummer lineage way back to like Gene Krupa.
Oh,
you know. So my theories on drummers is that there are three types of drummers. Okay, there's the animal, Keith Moon, right? There's the scientist, like Neil Peart, right? And then there's just there's the jock drummer, right? There's always a jock drummer too. Can't think of an example right now, but maybe like Clem Burke or something like that. Where it's very super physical. But that all drummers can be classified in one of those three categories.
You should actually,
animal, scientist.
Next time we have the drummer
we
show,
have
we're
a
gonna
drum
ask him.
show on here. Greg Andrews started, and we had a bunch of drummers down here, and
Watch.
let them talk shop.
You will find that. Keep it in your own heads.
I'm gonna have to. You know what?
Every single drummer can be classified as a
Problem is,
scientist,
what I'm going to be
an
doing now
animal,
is when I see
or
him, I'm
jock.
going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Now if I meet
And
a
then
drummer,
there's John Bonzo Bonham, who was the stories about him.
Yeah.
But that's true if you think about it.
you know what? Yeah, now that you put it that way, it really does kind of make sense.
Well, guys, my work here is done. Thanks for having me down.
Merry Christmas to you all. I've classified drummers.
That's actually interesting, but the
Yeah.
jock one's the one that's going to get me.
Yeah, because now I'm gonna have to be thinking. It's like, is that just kind of like the catch-all for the ones that don't fit in the other two?
No, the super athletic.
Okay, so just super. So like I like maybe like Tommy Lee maybe.
Tommy Lee.
I think
yes.
he'd be a good one.
I think he would be.
You know,
Yeah,
'cause he's
although-
all over the damn place.
He's kind of animal too, right?
Right, but I think
And just like personality traits, people can be more than one thing, right?
yeah,
They can have
but I think he definitely tended to the super physical kind of drumming.
right on.
I feel like the Spinal Tap thing where they got the 4,000 drums.
Exactly.
Joe Mama Besser.
Yeah. Whatever happened to him, too? Because after the other guy blew up, it was Joe Mama, but then the other guy somehow came back.
Yeah, they didn't mention that part of it. God, that's a movie I haven't seen in a
Spinal
while.
Tap, though.
Always worth seeing again.
I own it. It's fantastic.
You can watch that every year or so, and you always
I'm
see
gonna have
something
to,
new.
I'm gonna have to find a time in the calendar to put
There
that
was
movie
actually,
in.
I met Dickie Peterson from Blue Cheer when he was in town years ago. And years ago, they actually had somebody from Rochester playing in Blue Cheer, and they made an album here. And real nice guy, little guy. He's telling us the story about when Janis Joplin died. They were in the same hotel. And he said that he lived like with his Big Sur somewhere with farms and chickens. But he said about Spinal Tap, his quote, and I'm sure a lot of musicians have said this, I ain't seen Spinal Tap, but I got a feeling I'm living it. And Alice Cooper said he thought it was like, so.
Well, I think a lot of musicians would say it's probably one of the greatest depictions of that era
Absolutely.
ever. And on top of that, just fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, why? Well, the album is all black. We thought, could it be any more black?
Could it be any more black?
No, none more black.
It's a beautiful piece. What's it called? Like My Love Pump.
It's in D minor, the saddest of all keys.
Break like the wind.
Then I saw
That's a
actually,
great record.
I used to have it. I think I lost it.
Every
I
year-
had both of them.
Great record. Really well crafted, well produced stuff.
I think that's the thing about it, though, is that behind all that, the stuff was really well done.
Back
It
when
wasn't
we were
just-
talking about the funny with the good music to back it up.
Really well done.
Every Christmas I play Christmas with the Devil from now.
You know, I always go for Christmas in Hollis, Queens.
That, too.
Run DMC. Christmas time. Was it Christmas time in Hollis? Or Christmas in Hollis?
But I guess that Stonehenge thing, I guess like a couple bands did that in the 70s.
Oh, man, that's Stonehenge there when they get locked in the pods.
Then actually, I saw...
You said that happened to somebody.
I saw one of my friends wanted me to go see. It was a Queensryche Judas Priest concert at Darien Lake. So this is when Rob Halford just came back to the band.
Yeah.
Right? So they started with Electric Eye. Halford got locked in a pod, and he's singing through the pod.
Excellent.
Who was the one in Spinal Tap that got locked in? Was it Harry Shearer?
Yeah,
the
bass
player. Yeah. And
I can't remember.
he comes out, puts his hand out to the...
And the song's over. Like,
Right, yeah, and he's halfway in and out because he missed his re-emergence.
I heard the story. Some band, I guess they said that happened to them where they got lost trying to get into the main part of the arena. It's like, hello, Cleveland! Hello, Cleveland!
We can hear them out there. We just don't know how to get to the stage.
It was every rock music trope that you have heard of or wished would happen just put into a movie.
No, that is. And then did you ever see Fear of a Black Hat, which is like a take out a rap band like that?
No.
It's actually pretty funny. The first hour is pretty funny. Then it sort of goes.
Well, I mean, but at that point, if you've invested an hour in it, you got to see it through.
Actually, last night I watched. I didn't finish watching. To your point, but we got like probably maybe almost an hour into My Dinner with Jimmy, which is about the Turtles. Early success, and they're going to England and meeting Jimi Hendrix. I didn't get as far as Jimi Hendrix though because it was so bad. I mean, and then every once in a while I'd break to a song, and hey, I love that stuff. I love Happy Together, and all of that stuff. Yeah. I love pop music, right? And the music parts were good. So there's like 3 minutes of good, and then it was just so awful. And at one point, Lisa just said to me, this movie is really awful. You know that, right? I know.
Yes, I don't want to admit it.
She's like, this is really, really terrible. And I was like, fuck it. I can't do it anymore.
That was talking to you in between shows. I tried to watch Barfly recently. I made it an hour through there, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? No.
Just go read the book.
I'd rather not at this point.
Right?
I might give the book a try, but...
Yeah, I reread Post Office a while ago, and... it was fantastic. Yeah. It was fantastic. He's a great writer.
Never read anything by Bukowski.
You never read Bukowski?
I have not.
Dude.
Yeah, I have
that's
not.
That's a serious hole you need to fill as soon as possible.
I mean,
his poems are weird ass, but I really like them.
Read Post Office.
That's what I've heard is the big one.
Yeah, I read that the first time I read that I was a letter carrier. I was a letter carrier in Boston for 5 years.
So probably hit home.
And it was it might be another whole discussion, but the way things are set up, if you can finish a route, way before you need to be back at the station, right? So what do you do? Do you go back early? You rat out the guys who were out? No, that would be very, very bad. So you go to a bar and you drink, or you find some other way to,
kill a couple hours,
kill some time, And I would go to the public library and just read or hang out, or sneak into like the cafeteria at the John Hancock Building and get food. But that whole Bukowski take on the post office is so fucking true, man. So fucking true.
No, he's great. He's one of my favorite writers.
Because I've tried some of the other Beat Generation, and it's like...
I don't know if I would call him Beat. I don't call him Beat.
No, I mean, he's certainly like in the similar
it was like
type
that
of style,
time zone.
But not the same time zone.
You don't think?
No. He was a lot later. He just passed away.
Beat Generation is the 50s.
Yeah.
That's Ginsberg and Kerouac in the 50s.
True. Yeah.
And Bukowski was...
And for some reason, I always lumped them in there. Maybe because they were influenced by him.
A lot of the
Bukowski
patron saint of
them, yeah. But he was published mostly, I think, in the 70s.
Yeah. Because he passed away, in the 90s,
like mid-90s, I think. Yeah, I think it was 94.
Because I remember, did you ever see The Best Little Hotel on Skid Row? It was a documentary he nominates
no.
that he's talking about.
No.
But he lived like that. That's where he...
Oh, yeah. No, this was real autobiography stuff. I mean, look at a guy like R. Crumb, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's no coming up with that kind of persona. You are born that way.
That's
you know?
the thing. Some of that shit, it's too weird to make up.
Well, it's like the one
true.
that was supposedly different was Henry Miller, though, who was sort of looked down almost like as the godfather of the Beats in a little way. But I guess he was in real life, he was more shy, and he wasn't as crazy as all is.
Right. I think you're probably...
I like, actually, the one thing when he talks about working in the Cosmo Demonic Telegraph Company, and the guy falls down an elevator shaft, so the first thing he does, he goes and asks for his job.
Crazy.
That's how you move up in this world when somebody else moves down.
That's it.
But like Burroughs, I think, gets some of the weird, especially the science fiction is out there.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Although, you know, then again, his actual life may not have been absolutely as crazy as Naked Lunch.
Yeah. Well, I read
Did
Junkie.
shoot his wife, though.
Yeah. Some of those guys, it's just amazing. Sometimes, you live it, but you don't want to live it.
Yeah. But he always wore a suit.
Yeah.
Always wore a suit.
Well, I think the Beats wore they dressed like that, looked like squares, as they would say in the 50s. Like, that's why the Blues Brothers, even while they wore the ties and everything.
Okay. Sure.
Like that.
You think they were dressing like Beats?
I think that's what I think that was the idea, maybe. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not either. I mean, there's a lot of controversy then. Were they just ripping it off, or were they just trying to popularize the music they liked? Or
you know what? I don't give a fuck for appropriation and that whole argument, It's culture. Anyone can use whatever they want.
And sometimes when it's...
You don't have to listen to it.
And sometimes when it's appropriated, it's combined with something to make it better.
Yeah, that's alchemy, man. That's putting different things together.
Well, we got meta.
No one has a right to, demand you don't touch something because this is mine.
Well, did you see I saw this meme going around. There's a story going, Goss complaining because they appropriated Halloween from them.
The other thing is, no one has a right to be free from, what's the word? When they're all getting up there, offended.
Yeah.
Right? No one has a right to be go through life and not be offended.
You know the thing, you ever notice that the only people that are offended are those that want to be?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you have to look for it. Like, I saw a story about how Secret Santas are stressing people out.
Oh, you told me that. I actually
we had to
was
stop ours at work because someone complained.
Oh, my God.
Someone got offended, so it's over.
Yeah.
See, I had, when my mom bowled, they would have the grab bags, and she'd take me along, and you get a strike, you get to pick the gift. And I could even, I knew I was going to raid my parents' liquor cabinet when they weren't home. So I would always manage to find the booze. You could just see the way it was shaped, so I always managed to get the booze. I got in big trouble because they finally noticed, when they had guests over, how watered down a lot of the drinks were.
Why does this whiskey taste like tea? What the hell is going on?
Bagged.
Oh, boy.
Then, I don't know. What happened to it?
Someone must have snuck in here and get it, Mom and
I
Dad.
got wasted on maraschino cherries one day because they got the real ones. They was real strong. Then I tried to put a bottle of cherries in there. Because you got to remember in the day, when my parents would go out, remember this was before all they would come over, they'd all be dressed to the nines. They would get sauced before going out on Manhattans. They'd go out, come back, proceed to get sauced when they came back, and then people would drive home.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember,
we drink, we drive, because that's what we
I remember seeing
do.
a couple of their friends bouncing off the doors like pinball.
It was a much different time back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the days of those Christmas parties. I think I'm a little too young to have ever seen that. I don't recall my parents ever having a Christmas party like that.
No.
There was no crystal punch bowl anywhere in the house that I can recall.
No. That would
going over to the neighbors to borrow folding chairs and not inviting the neighbors to the party because you hated them.
But that goes going sort of back to music.
Yeah,
it's like the holidays or
back.
so. If you could magically see one band you've never seen, who would it have been? It could be anybody. If they're dead now, we'll take you back in time.
Oh, geez, I would have loved to have seen the Beatles. I wasn't I was born in '64.
Yeah.
They were done. So I would have loved to have seen the Beatles.
This is like a sore point with one of my friends. He's a little older, and I guess they never played in Rochester, but they played. I think Toronto was the closest.
Sure.
So this is like '65, '66. His sister had tickets to see the Beatles, and he decided not to go, and he figured they'd come around again. But the thing about that, though, their shows probably weren't that good, though, because you had all the screaming.
Well, right, you couldn't hear shit.
Yeah, they did not catch on to the sound reinforcement things, and that's one of the reasons, of course, that they stopped touring.
They got pissed. I mean, it was like they're musicians.
It sucked. It sucked for them. They couldn't hear themselves on stage. And that was really too bad, because there were bands not that much long after they quit touring who cracked that code, who figured out how to do a stadium show. Certainly the Stones figured it out, and why Epstein couldn't have gotten a little ahead of the curve for these guys. Too bad.
Well, that's a good one, because
there's actually
the Beatles were an interesting.
You should look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it. It's the Dick Cavett with George Harrison. It's after they break up, and John and Yoko were on the show before, I guess. So he's going to sit down, and Cavett goes, "Hey, Yoko sat there." You go, "Ah!" But then he was saying, he goes, about breaking up, he said there were a lot of reasons we broke up.
Yeah,
I think that was just probably the straw that broke the camel's back at that point.
People love to blame Yoko,
Well, like in Spinal Tap, the girlfriend there, it's like that's supposed to be like Yoko, his girlfriend.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I don't know. I mean, Yoko got a bad rap.
Well, you think about, do you think about them, how they sort of were in the fishbowl? And remember, they were together since around 1958, and then going through all Beatlemania and everything else, and growing up. And then Brian Epstein dying was a big thing, I think.
Yeah.
And we missed the Lord of the Rings movie because of that, probably, too, because Paul wanted to do a Lord of the Rings movie using the Beatles.
Oh, boy.
Really?
Yeah, John was going to be Gollum. George was going to be Gandalf.
Wow.
I think he
dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
Well, I admit, Magical Mystery Tour is hard to get through. I may love the Beatles, but...
Well, who's one of your bands you would want to see, if you could go in time and see anybody?
I still have not seen Tom Waits. I've always missed him, and he's still around. I don't know if he tours much.
No, you can make that happen.
Yeah. Oh, I had one of my friends, he literally was on... Well, he said, if he's playing Kentucky, I'll call you and we'll go. But I had the one when I lived in Washington. I came back to visit my parents, and it turned out he was playing here, and it was $75 a ticket, and I would have splurged. But I guess it was sold out. So what I did, I actually went to the Strath Island to try to find him, because I guess he stayed there, and I know he likes to drink wine. Yeah. But it happened because there's the old story about the Pogues, where they were going to go try to find the master. And I guess they looked for him in the hotel. It was 9. He already went to bed. So I would have felt like an ass anyways if I saw him. What am I going to say?
Hey! I've been stalking you.
Yeah. I mean, I talked
How about you?
Well, I think the Beatles is a good pick. Obviously, I missed that whole thing. I did see the, quote-unquote, see the Rolling Stones at a Super Bowl halftime show. But... I saw the Stones at RFK, and the thing about that, it was 89 RFK. The thing that got me was Keith. It was $28 a ticket. Still, it wasn't enormous. What got me was Keith balanced a cigarette in his mouth the whole performance, which is impressive.
But did you see the clip from the recent tour where I guess he started playing Midnight Rambler and it was a totally different song they were starting?
Oh, no.
And I guess Mick was like, what the heck is that?
Uh-oh.
Hey, more power to them, though. They're still doing it.
Still doing it.
But actually, now there's 2 acts, and I'm going to go back a little ways. My dad got to see him, but I never did. Cab Calloway.
Yeah?
My dad saw Cab Calloway perform at the halftime show of a Harlem Globetrotters game.
Cool.
Or I would go back even to the big band era, the Benny Goodman Orchestra or something, or
Glenn Miller,
goddamn, Duke Ellington, stuff like that. It's great music, and I
guess one of the fun was the Pithod Jazz Club here. We had a lot of those old bands, but I guess for Muddy Waters, remember Muddy, he's watching the band play. Muddy's out in the audience talking to women, and Muddy would pop up, do a couple songs, where Howlin' Wolf would play a 3-hour plus set.
That's funny.
Wow.
But those would be mine. But I don't know.
No, it's a lot.
Can't really think of any other people that I would really, really, really want to see.
I mean, really, one of the best shows I've seen of late, non-local, was Nick Cave.
Oh yeah, he's probably good.
But otherwise, I just don't like big arenas. That's one of my problems. I don't like going to the big, like C-Max and all those anymore.
No, I hate that.
I don't like that. I mean, I saw Dylan and he was on this time. I saw him at the Auditorium Theater last year. And he was actually, because he can be really bad in concert, but he was actually really good this time. Not one word to the audience, of course.
There's a shock.
But it's amazing if you see the Rolling Thunder Review thing. This guy's been touring every year, except he had some health problems in the early 80s. He's never stopped touring.
Yeah. I mean, credit to him for keeping it up, but...
And the view on that, too, I mean, you got to do it because you love it.
I think that's what it is. I think he loves it. He definitely does not need the money.
You know, and I'll reverse that question, though. Is there somebody you've seen who you just nowadays, you go, damn, I'm glad I saw them?
Black Sabbath.
Because it's somebody who, like, you would think maybe dead now, maybe not, but it's somebody you go, this is really good.
Black Sabbath. I caught them on the reunion tour when it was the original four together in Pittsburgh. Me and my Uncle Fred went. That was cool.
I actually have mine, Mose Allison. He played at Jazz Fest, and I grant you, he's like in his mid-80s. Came out looking like a Kentucky turtle with the colonel with the sneakers, purple, the good old purple thing. And he did repeat a couple songs. And Mo's always hummed to himself.
Yeah.
But I guess he was getting because I mean, he toured, he's like touring like 200 dates a year in his mid-80s.
Wow.
Then he had to stop.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's insane.
I'm really glad I saw Mose Allison because
That's a good one.
The New York Dolls.
I'm
really glad I got
that
to
would have
see-
been cool.
I saw the reunion tour that was, I don't know, maybe like 15-something years ago. They came, and I'd already moved to Rochester. They played out in Buffalo at
Mohawk.
the Tralf.
Oh, Tralf was a Tralf?
I think it was the Tralf. Maybe it was Mohawk. No, I think it was the Tralf.
Yeah.
Of course, obviously, you know, Johnny Thunders had already died. But Steve Conti did a great job. Fantastic guitar player, really perfect. It was great. It was really great.
That's actually the infamous site of the Trelf. One night, I guess Prince played in town. I guess he showed up at the Trelf, just started jamming and played for 4 hours.
Actually, I'm going to throw him in there. Prince. I would have loved to have seen Prince.
Prince of which country?
Monaco.
But actually, last show I saw, there was actually Nick Lowe this year up at the Trelf. Because the funny part about that, one of the best shows I've seen this decade, but it was like something out of a comedy, was Ray Davies played the Trelf.
Wow.
He balanced the Guinness on his head. It was like that storyteller stuff. He had one other guy, and he would play songs. He started with Victoria. And I would say the problem with it was I'd never been there before. It was before GPS. I couldn't find the damn place because, it's inside the building. So I'm tooling around. It's like National Lampoon's Vacation, asking for directions. So
Sorry,
I finally
folks,
get
park's
there,
closed.
barely get there. And, of course, then I have to be way in the back. But that was like one of the best concerts I've ever seen. He was like really happy on.
Cool.
And just one other guy with him. That was all.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people that just can do anything.
Yeah. But that was good because he actually, rumor was he was going to play Water Street, but I guess it was one of those things I was calling for tickets, and I guess there was a misprint.
Oh,
Jeez. That's a hell of a misprint.
yeah. That they probably got a lot of phone calls.
Oh,
over
he
that
did, because I'm
misprint.
trying to order tickets from this guy. He's like, and he doesn't know who he is, and he's reading the thing. Ray Davies, the original storyteller. So I just went to the Trelf show. The heck with that.
There you go.
Yeah. It's an hour away.
I'm so used to
it's
it
nothing,
from work. It's
you know.
nothing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Schlepping
I
out
actually
to
know
Buffalo
where
is
I'm going to
nothing
park
anymore.
every time,
Yeah,
too.
because
I was actually just out there I actually was at Babeville on Thursday the other week, which is weird. If you go down, it's off of Delaware. It's almost by Pearl.
I mean, when I lived in Boston, it would take 40 minutes just to get across town sometimes. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
an
where
hour
like
is,
Philly, too.
Nothing.
Exactly.
like
Whereas in an
Philadelphia.
hour we could be in a big city.
Yeah. Buffalo's happening. I'd love to play out there. If anyone's listening out there and wants to hook me up with a show in Buffalo,
Hey, Buffalo,
There you
false
go.
positives coming for
And
you.
I will
Okay.
tell you, when I went to see when I saw Nick Lowe, that was on a weekend. That Main Street is hopping on the weekends.
yeah, it's a great scene.
Incredible.
Out there. It's fun. It's fun.
Which is interesting because a lot of local bands I've talked to from there, I asked them where they play a lot. They say they do a lot of house shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. My nephew lives in Buffalo, and he tells me about crazy anarchist punk rock shows that they have in people's basements and stuff.
Plus, the worst beer selection ever. When my friend Pauline and I, Fox 45 was playing at a house show, so we walked down to this convenient, and we've never seen like a worse selection of beer ever.
I mean, that's like the hallmark of the bodega, man. Is you got the beer. Come on.
Yeah,
I like the idea of the
grab
house
some
show
Jenny.
now.
What you need some like fancy beer? Just grab a Jenny Tallboy and call it good, man.
If they had Jenny Tallboy, that would have been an upswing.
Yeah.
for
Pabst
these.
Blue Ribbon,
This
baby.
was like Michelob Ice something.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I like PBR, so that was, if they
It
had
was
that.
Milwaukee's best ice.
But actually, I think house shows are getting. I've never had one where there's been a problem.
Yeah.
I haven't gone to a lot. I mean, back in the day, we used to have parties in Alston, but I haven't gone to any lately. A long time, at least.
And actually, we have a lot of other things here, like Small World Books puts on shows, art galleries put on shows.
I've still got to get out to there. Small World Books.
Yeah, so I mean, they're around. Just got to look for
I've just
them.
never been.
But any parting words on this music one before we go to the next one next time?
Give the people something good to look forward to
Hey.
in 2020. 'cause it's
I know
coming.
you're playing
Friday-
in January.
Friday, January 24th, 2020, Lux Lounge.
I've got it written down already.
And it's actually our first time headlining a show, so come on out.
Who's playing? I saw you're playing. I didn't see who was playing.
It was going to be just us, actually, but now last minute late change. We're going to have the what are they called? The fall. Wait a minute. Let me get this right.
You're the headliner. Who cares?
Oh, please, audience.
Hold on a second. I got to get the facts right. They're called the Cursed Idols.
Cursed
I
Idols.
liked it. You were there with the Fox sisters, and we were there.
Right,
we were there.
right. So
but they had a band. You weren't there for the Surfing Cadavers, were you? When Grease Creepers, I didn't see you. It was
No,
packed.
I wasn't.
These
but,
dudes all wore the masks again.
But the Cursed Idols are Pat and Brian from the Fox sisters, and so they're going to do a short 20-minute set in between us doing 2 sets, and $5. Friday the 24th, 9 o'clock. Come on out.
And
it's gonna be great.
I'll tell you, shows at Lux are always really fun.
Love Lux. It's the best place in town.
It's
the only place that'll book me, so I love it.
Well, as long as people don't know the story years ago for me, when they again, our good friend Pabst Blue Ribbon, and they had them on sale. So it was a summer night. We were outside, and I know this is on YouTube somewhere still, where they got the wooden penis out there. I fell over the wooden penis.
Oh, Jesus.
But I don't know lately, because for a while they were having shows in the back. And one of the funniest shows ever was when Fox 45 was playing. There was like a convent or something behind it. It's a convent. And we see these sisters to be jumping up and down to satanic dark metal.
All right.
But it's a good system and everything there. Come out and see them. And I have something to play because we were doing doing sort of a 70s theme, but do we ever stick on one topic?
Hell no. Why would we
But
do
this
that?
is
That's
my
boring.
friend Chaz Lockwood, who lives in Massachusetts now.
I know Charles.
Yo, you know Chaz. Yeah, he lives in Nagasset.
I don't know.
I think I sent him a
he's living.
Christmas card.
Yeah.
So he's living in Massachusetts.
I met him out here. Actually, we have some mutual acquaintances.
Yeah, Stan Merrill. This is their old band, the Badenovs. And the song is because there was something in the 70s we could not get away from. K-Tel Records.
Right.
So this is called K-Tel Rock Star.
There you go.
Then we're going to play that and wing it in. Thanks a lot,
We're
man.
gonna
Hope
play
you had
that.
fun.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, everybody.
There's an ad that's on the TV. If you don't blink, you might see me flashing words to my hit song. You know, I think they spelled my name wrong. Well, you can buy it at your K